Imagine this. You're standing in front of an ancient pharaoh's palace in Egypt, or staring directly at a mummy from thousands of years ago, and it feels like she's still trying to say something to you. You take a step forward and find yourself face to face with massive marble statues of Greek gods. Then suddenly, right beside them, the gleaming armor of a fearless samurai, and just around the corner, the magical brushstrokes of Vincent van Gogh, and next to that, a rare handwritten Quran from the 7th to 8th century, an extraordinary piece of Islamic calligraphy, preserved through centuries. Right in the heart of New York City, next to Central Park, stands a true wonder, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, or simply the Met. But this is not just a museum, it's a giant time machine that takes you through 5,000 years of art and human history. With over 26,000 artifacts, each piece tells a story. From the tombs of ancient Egypt and the Temple of Dendar, to Greco-Roman sculptures, European Renaissance masterpieces, samurai armor, Islamic calligraphy, and even iconic works of the modern era, all under one roof. I'll try to explain each amazing artifact in a simple and fascinating way. The stories behind the art, the depth of history, and the highlights of this magnificent museum. Yes, this video might be a little long, but I promise you, it'll be an unforgettable journey for your curious mind and your history-loving heart. And if your kids love art and history, this video will be perfect for them too. So let's begin. Let's dive into the river of time together. We begin our journey standing in front of a colossal pharaoh statue. This sculpture dates back to the 13th century BCE and is believed to be from the era of Ramses II or Merneptah. It once stood in the ancient city of Thebes, where Egyptian kings built massive temples and monuments. After centuries buried in ruins, archaeologists rediscovered it in the 19th century. Today, it stands proudly in the Met as a silent witness to a lost civilization. Now you're staring into the mysterious face of Artemidora, a young woman immortalized in this mummy mask from around 90 to 100 CE. The facial style reflects Greek artistic influence, but the decoration and clothing are distinctly Egyptian. This shows the incredible cultural blending of that time. Imagine this. The face you see was once alive. She dreamed, she lived, and today, she still lives on as part of our shared human history. The statue of goddess Sekhmet. Now meet a fierce and powerful deity, Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess of war and healing. It was believed that if she grew angry, she could destroy the world. But if she was calm, she could cure every disease. With her lioness face and strong form, this statue radiates strength. It dates back to the reign of Amenhotep III, and once stood in a temple in Thebes. Now we come to a fascinating artifact, the mummy of a priest named Nesman. But this is more than just a preserved body, it represents an entire belief system. The ancient Egyptians believed that after death, the soul faced judgment. That's why they buried mummies with a Book of the Dead, which contained spells and instructions to protect the soul in the afterlife. The designs on Nesman's coffin, cartonnage, show the intricate artistry and spiritual depth of ancient Egyptian life and death. Here we see an incredible artifact, an ancient Egyptian papyrus scroll, possibly part of the Book of the Dead, inscribed in hieroglyphics, guiding the soul through the afterlife. And now, we've arrived at one of the most iconic spaces in the Met, the Temple of Dendar. This temple originally stood on the banks of the Nile River, built around the 15th century BCE, but in the 1960s it was at risk of flooding due to the construction of the Aswan Dam. So the Egyptian government gifted it to the United States, and in 1978 it was permanently installed at the Met. Look closely at the temple walls, carvings of the gods Isis and Osiris. These ancient engravings have withstood millennia, still whispering stories of ancient Egypt to anyone who listens. This section, the American Wing, is a striking reflection of American art and culture. From the 17th to 20th century, it houses not only European influence works, but also creations from African American, Asian American, Latin American, and Native American artists. Founded in 1924, this wing now spans over 75 galleries, offering a vibrant mosaic of America's rich and diverse cultural history. Each artwork here tells its own deep story. As you move from one gallery to another, you discover new perspectives on American identity and artistic evolution. Panoramic paintings were once a groundbreaking form of entertainment. These massive artworks would surround viewers, making them feel like they were really inside the scene. Imagine this: what once amazed crowds is now a window into history, allowing us to peek into royal beauty from centuries past. As I stepped into the room, I truly felt as if I had entered the Palace of Versailles. Grand architecture, manicured gardens, and elegant fountains everywhere. But in reality, I was standing inside a giant 360-degree panoramic painting. This artwork was created by John Vanderlyn between 1819 to 1821, an American artist who brought the palace and gardens of Versailles to life on canvas. These artworks reflect not only aesthetic beauty, but also the evolution of American art and innovation. As industrialization progressed, American society changed, and the art from the mid-19th century reflects those social, political, and economic shifts. The furniture and art of that era show both luxury and fine craftsmanship, marking a new chapter in American art history. Entering the Renaissance Revival Room, you'll feel like you've stepped into a royal era. Built between 1868 to 1870 for America's elite families, this luxurious room is a cultural artifact in itself. Here you can see the influence of the European Renaissance. Intricate wood carvings, rich textiles, and lavish decor, all blending into one magnificent expression of elegance. And now, let's talk about the Charles Engelhard Court, a centerpiece of the American Wing. It houses some of the finest American sculptures, including works by Hiram Powers, Frederick McMonnies, and Augustus St. Gaudens. These aren't just sculptures, they're stories of America's cultural evolution. They remind us that art is more than beauty. It's a visual narrative of a nation's history. Above, you'll find Renaissance and colonial-era furniture and artworks. Natural light pours in through glass windows, making this court feel like a true aesthetic haven. Just imagine, standing here, it feels like you're inside a living time capsule of American art, where history, culture, and creativity blend in harmony. Now, I'm standing inside an Afro-Futurist period room, a unique exhibition at the Met where past, present, and future blend into a single imaginative space. The room is called Yesterday We Said Tomorrow, and it represents the idea of Afrofuturism, a movement that fuses African culture, technology, and futuristic imagination. When we look at history, we realize that tales of power and courage weren't written only in words. They were written in iron, fire, and blood. Have you ever thought about how there was a time when life and death depended on the edge of a sword, the strength of an armor, and the bravery of a warrior? That very era stands before us in the Met's Arms and Armor Gallery. This isn't just armor, it's a full warrior ensemble. This belonged to a royal knight, along with his war companion, his horse, which also had custom armor made with precision. Look at this exquisite craftsmanship. It wasn't just for protection, it was a symbol of power and nobility. This armor was made around 1532 to 45 for King Ladislaus of Hungary and Bohemia. In medieval Europe, kings and generals wore such armor not just to fight, but to intimidate their enemies. There was a time when war wasn't just about swords and armor. Shooting from a distance became the new strategy. These flintlock and percussion cap guns were the primary weapons of the 17th and 18th centuries. These rifles symbolized the frontier spirit. Winchester rifles and Colt revolvers weren't just weapons, they became part of American Western legends. Cowboys used them for protection, and sheriffs carried them to maintain law and order.
just like in the movies, except this is real history. These swords are from the Renaissance era of Europe, dating back to the 15th to 17th centuries. They're called rapiers, light, sharp, and designed for fast attacks. Look at the design of these hilts. They weren't just decorative, they served a purpose. The guards on the hilt protected the warrior's hand from enemy strikes. These were some of the most fearsome weapons of medieval warfare: halberds, spears, poleaxes. They weren't only for close combat like swords, but could also be used to strike enemies from a distance. In Japanese history, a sword was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of honor. The katana was the reflection of a samurai's soul. Every katana was handcrafted, specially made for its warrior. This is a daisho, a traditional set of two swords, one long katana and one shorter wakizashi. This particular sword wasn't just forged for combat. It was crafted for a respected samurai or someone of the royal family. Look at the delicate detailing. Here, strength and artistry are fused into one. Every dent on the armor, every scratch on the blade tells the story of a battle. And here we are, standing right in front of that living history.
Now, we step into a realm of art. Masterpieces by the great painters of the European Renaissance are displayed here. Van Gogh's wheat field with cypresses, Monet's water lilies, Rembrandt's portraits, and even several sketches by Leonardo da Vinci are preserved in this section. The swirling brushstrokes of Van Gogh, the play of light and color in Monet's work, these aren't just paintings, they're stories from different eras. If you want to witness the evolution of European art, this section of the Met is an absolute must-see. Today, we're stepping back into the medieval history of Iran and Central Asia. After the 9th century, as the power of the Abbasid caliphs declined, regional rulers began to assert autonomy. The Samanid, Ghaznavid, and Buyid dynasties rose to prominence. During this period, social and cultural developments were also significant at this time. The renowned philosopher Al-Biruni made important contributions to science and history through his research during this era. This reception room is part of a traditional house in Damascus, built in 1707. Traditional Damascene homes often featured such large rooms where guests were welcomed. This is a prime example of Ottoman architecture, built through the fusion of Iranian, Turkish, and Syrian cultural elements. This remarkable artwork was painted by 19th century Orientalist artists. It portrays the lifestyle of nomads in the desert. Through such paintings, Western artists depicted the Middle Eastern world, often through the lens of imagination and fascination. This helmet was used by warriors from the Middle East and Central Asia in the 15th or 16th century. The top is made of solid metal and the lower part features chainmail, which protected the face and neck. It likely belonged to a soldier from the Persian or Mughal Empire. These Persian carpets were made between the 16th and 18th centuries, the golden age of carpet weaving in Iran. Their intricate designs, floral patterns, and vibrant colors are all hallmarks of traditional Persian textile art. These aren't just carpets, they're masterpieces. This is a stunning ancient Quran manuscript, a precious testament to the history and culture of Islam. Such handwritten Qurans were typically produced during the medieval period and preserved for royal families, mosques, or institutions of learning. Here we see a unique style of Arabic calligraphy, likely written in Kufic or Naskh script. Kufic is one of the earliest forms of Islamic script, widely used in the 7th to 8th centuries, while Naskh became more common in later periods. Notice the intricate decoration around the edges, gold and blue designs reflecting the rich legacy of Islamic calligraphy and art. In medieval Muslim society, copying the Quran was not just a religious act, but a deeply artistic pursuit. Such manuscripts were usually commissioned under the patronage of rulers from Persia, the Ottoman Empire, or Mughal India. Each copy could take months or even years to complete, entirely handwritten and meticulously adorned. This sacred book is not only a symbol of faith for Muslims, it is also a unique work of art, preserved with honor across the world to this day. Today, we've stepped into a world like no other, the realm of Asian art. This gallery, woven with threads of history, takes us centuries back, where culture, religion, and craftsmanship are intricately intertwined. These extraordinary sculptures are symbols of ancient Asian civilization. From Buddhist and Hindu influences to other spiritual beliefs, their reflections are clearly visible here. Notice each carved line, each expression on these statues. They're They're not just artistic details, they're stories in themselves. Another fascinating aspect of Asian art is its painting tradition. Be it ancient Chinese scrolls or Japanese ukiyo-e, each artwork tells a story. These masterpieces blend nature, faith, and human life into one canvas. Art isn't confined to canvases and sculptures alone. These finely crafted vessels, garments, and ornaments show how Asian culture has been represented through generations of craftsmanship. This red-lit room feels like a mysterious doorway to the past. The sculptures and artifacts preserved here echo ancient stories, reminding us of the power and beliefs of lost civilizations. This powerful sculpture brings to life the legendary Greek hero Perseus at the very moment of triumph. In his hand, he holds the severed head of Medusa, the mythical Gorgon whose gaze could turn anyone to stone. The figure's confident stance and dramatic form capture a moment of bravery and divine mission. Crafted in Renaissance or neoclassical style, the artwork showcases ideal human anatomy, dynamic movement, and expressive detail, celebrating both myth and mastery. A haunting scene unfolds here, and inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy. Ugolino, a medieval Italian noble, is imprisoned with his sons and condemned to die by starvation. The sculpture reveals the depths of despair, his anguished face, the fragile bodies of his children, and the overwhelming silence of doom. It's a heartbreaking portrait of betrayal, sacrifice, and human endurance, one that stays with you long after you've seen it. Rodin's The Burghers of Calais tells a true story from the 100 Years' War. 6 citizens offered their lives to save their city from the English siege in 1347. Unlike traditional heroic sculptures, Rodin focused on vulnerability. This piece is a milestone in modern sculpture, emphasizing human emotion over idealized form. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is more than just a museum, it's a portal through time. From ancient Egypt to modern Europe, Islamic calligraphy to samurai armor, Renaissance elegance to Afro-futurist visions, every corner tells a different story. If this video moved you, please like it, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Wanderer Turtle for more journeys into art, history, and beyond. Until the next adventure, take care and keep exploring.